Hey everyone, it's Richard Metal Fan here, bringing you guys an old school album review. And today we're going to be looking into one of my personal favorite artists, and as you can see below the title, today we're going to be talking about Voodoo by King Diamond, the band's 8th album released on February 24th, 1998 through Massacre Records. Now, this album, like with all of other King Diamond's albums, is a concept album. And the concept of this album was it takes place in the year 1932 with the family called the Lafayettes, which consists of Sarah, David, and Grandpa. And they moved into a colonial house on the Mississippi River north of Baton Rouge, and it happens to be next to a graveyard. And then the house's servant Salem is involved in voodoo, and they partake in voodoo rituals at the graveyard. And then the Lafayettes hear the voodoo drums from the ceremonies in the graveyard, and they call a secret meeting with Salem to discuss what's to be done. And the Lafayettes decide to destroy the voodoo burial ground, and Salem doesn't want it to happen, so he sneaks in the midnight to the Dr. LaCroix, and he gives Salem money to buy some goofer dust and tells the Lafayettes they must all die. And it's just all just this crazy shit. And this album, compared to like other albums like Graveyard or even the '80s albums like Fail Portrait and Abigail, I think this album it's pretty good, but I feel like this album could have been a lot better. Not to say that this isn't complete shit. There are some good things because I just love the storytelling behind it. It's just very dark and ominous. But some fans would say that it goes on a little bit too long, even though it runs a little over an hour. And there's a little bit of like intros slash interludes, which can be a little bit unnecessary, but yeah, and I could definitely kind of see where that's coming from. Vocally, King Diamond is great as always. I don't think there's really anything that needs to be said about King Diamond that hasn't been said already. Just a legend. The guitar work from Andy LaRocque and Herb Simonson, both of them come up with some really great riffs, leads, and they really work well together. And the bass on this album is, I wish, could be a little bit audible from Chris Etsy's. And the drumming from John Luke Herbert is solid. So, without further ado, and I pretty much rambled on for a little over 2 minutes, let's dive into this album track by track. Now, starting things off is Louisiana Darkness. Now, this was a little intro. It's basically synthesizers and some creepy childlike singing from King Diamond. And there's not much to write home for this song. It's just a creepy intro, though. And then we leads into LOA House. Now, this brings on just the metal assault. It has a huge riff and blast beats that dominate the song with some creepy lyrics that set pretty much the concept of this album. And King's falsetto is in full effect of this album. And some people are like turned off and will not be changed by this album. And this song is classic King Diamond, and I just feel like it could have been a lot more crisp and clear in the production. And the vocals in this song are a tad bit muffled, as most of this album is. Next song on the album is called Life After Death. Now, this is a really spooky song. It has a really chugging riff accompanied by the King's organs, a very nocturnal sound, something which I actually enjoy of his albums. And the drumming is somewhat off in the terms of like the timing, but overall the production and tightness of the band was not great on this album. It's a decent song, but I feel like it sounds muddy at times, especially in King's voice, which should be, like in my opinion, the centerpiece of the song. Next song is the title track, Voodoo, and this song contains a guest guitar solo none other than the late great Dimebag Darrell, rest in peace, and I feel like, in my opinion, is the best standalone track of the album. It includes some very irregular and fantastic percussive work. Next up is A Secret. Now, this is classic King Diamond. It has a nice classical influenced riff that rides along the Diamond's like lyrics that all things just go bump in the night, and the drumming is much tighter on this song, and King's vocals are a lot easier to hear, and it's one of the best songs on the album. I feel like it's a good step back in the direction with some lead guitar riffs that just sound very exquisitely great. Moving on to the next song on the album, which is called Salem, which continues the story of the album, and fans of King Diamond's storytelling will delight in like the complexity of the story, but I'm not like usually a big fan of heavy metal concept albums, but there are just some that pretty much stand out to me. But I can really appreciate, from what I've read about it, just appreciate hey, that King has tried something different in the metal world, and the stories make it very an interesting read. And I feel like the song is about a horse servant named Salem who practices voodoo with the devilish doctor. And in any case, this song has some cool moments. I love sort of like the operatic chorus, and the main riff is quite heavy and infectious. It's a decent track with a great solo from Andy LaRocque, which in my opinion is one of the best guitarists in metal and very underrated in my opinion. Next up is One Down, Two to Go. Now it starts off with an acoustic, almost kind of sounds a little bit folky at times intro, and then it turns into a blast of metal that just melts your face off. And this song reminds me of like King's other band, Merciful Fate. It's a very speedy song with some great guitar riffs, and easily the best song, or one of the best songs I should say, on this album. And don't judge it by the acoustic sections, and I feel like it just provides a lot of tension to amp up the song even more when it just really kicks in. Next song on the album is called Sending of Dead. Now this is a weird song. The first part just features some jazzy drummer and circus-like organ before it of course picks up with a heavy riff and blast beat drumming. And not bad, but it's not one of my favorites on here. Sarah's Night. Now it opens up with a harpsichord kind of like intro, and the orchestral strings sort of like back up King Diamond as he sings about the tale of Sarah, which is like the daughter of the family in the story, as she is possessed by a voodoo spirit, and a creepy song with some very disturbing vocals from the King, but not a great song like musically speaking. I feel like the harpsichord on here sounds really cheap and dated even for the time being, as it was in 1998. Next song on the album is called The Exorcist. Now this song is almost really good, but I feel like King's vocals sound really muffled and have a weird kind of like reverse effect applied to it. And I love sort of like the guitars on here and the great drumming from John Luke Herbert. And the bell sound is just really truly haunting and is like double tracked guitar leads, and I think it's a pretty good song. Next up is Unclean Spirits. Now, Unclean Spirits is not really a song in the strictest definition. It's just some creepy organ which appears to be an exorcist trying to remove a demon from someone's body. An interesting and creepy interlude, but nothing special. Well, next up is Cross of Baronsemity. Now this is a decent song. It tells the story of a magical ancient cross belonging to an undead spirit, and the subject matter is over the top of this song, but mostly King Diamond's albums are. So if you enjoy sort of like his storytelling, you'll like a lot on this album. And this song is slow in many sections with operatic vocals sort of like telling a saga of the cross, and this song picks up with a thunderous riff telling the story about how the cross was used on Sarah, and it's not bad at all. At this point the story is actually becoming interesting. Next up is If Only They Knew. Now this is a short little interlude with the character of Salem speaking about the origins of the house and it's all like haunted and all this crazy shit. And next up we close things out with Aftermath. Now it pretty much talks about Salem divulging about what's to happen to Sarah and how her baby is speaking in tongues. It's just a very creepy song. It's a pretty just creepy way to end this album. And this album also, after Aftermath, there's like a little hidden track, which is actually the song Unclean Spirits, which is played in reverse. It just sounds just even creepier backwards. I don't know. I didn't hear any subliminal messages. Now overall, Voodoo by King Diamond, it's a good album, but I feel like they could have done a lot more like in terms of production and maybe just shortening it slightly. So rather than give this album a score, I'm going to give Voodoo by King Diamond a solid 7 out of 10. So yep, that's my review of the album, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about it, and I'll see you all in the next video. And as always, keep it metal.